I've seen this narrative since I've been in these YouTube spaces in regards to black men need to be mentors, because from what I've been reading and the comments that I've seen from majority black women, the black men who are doing what they need to do in the black community, we have some demands first before we start to even listen to the types of black women that is spreading this rhetoric about black men, and then to turn around and ask those same black men to be mentors. Basically, where this conversation started was from this tweet. Black men, please, I beg you, be a mentor. These boys out here are hurting. They need you. And every black woman was saying the same thing and telling their sob stories about how black men did them wrong, so they need somebody to mentor them, so on and so forth, right? Now, they got upset because black men started to respond. This woman said, I was called a misandrist because I want little black boys to have positive black male role models in their lives in the form of some type of mentorship. Finished race. The root of the issue would be fixed if y'all actually picked decent men. He said, can I get your number? Lame ass N-word. And then the next guy, I'm a screet N-word on Pyru. And she like him. Now she pregnant. This dude leaving. Talking about where the hoes at on Pyru. Then this girl said, mentor my kids. This is where the good black men come in. He said, the F, go ask their pops, which is what black men are supposed to ask, right? And then look, he put her tweet in there and was like, yeah, this is what y'all asking us to do. And she said, you're sick for this. You should consider using your talents elsewhere. Associating me, who has never made mention of any of those things, with that narrative is absurd. She don't get it. The health and well-being for black men is never at the front of the conversation. It's all about what black women need. And y'all make these poor decisions with the men that you decide to sleep with, and this is the outcome. Now you asking good black men to come pick up the pieces for your failures. Let's look at what was said under the video that I'm about to play you guys. And I want to play these. I want to read these off first so I can level set the conversation as to how black women really think and feel about black men, even though they're asking for mentors. So when black men gave pushback based off of her tweet, this is the response from the majority of black women. I gave up on them, and it's given me so much peace. White women can have them. And these are the men that black women consider kings because they still mad they daddy left them. Black men have a phobia of raising other men's children, which is insane because I'm 100% sure they wished an uncle or male figure stepped up when their dad walked out. This is new due to weird propaganda rhetoric. Black women used to remarry all the time, and the stepdads just acted as a dad. Black men still remarry and become stepdads. It's just the broke ones. Gen X black men still do this. Oh, okay. Gen X men still, the broke ones got a problem with it. So Gen X men, I guess, we're broke. They don't even care about their own kids. And most of those badass kids is literally they kids. You see what I'm saying? Now we get into the root of the issue. When Dr. Umar said to those men on his podcast, and they pretty much said it ain't their job to do that.
What I'm saying is I'm capable of being that leader, that provider. I've worked hard in my life. We tell black men that we have to now deal with masculine women, women with children.
Why is she masculine? Because she's had to raise the kids alone. Not one woman, brother. You mean to tell me, a whole community.
So you mean to tell me the only woman I can look forward in my life is a masculine woman that has kids by other men?
No.
That's what I have to look forward to?
But I'm telling you, mistakes made by black men systemically gave rise to the conditions that allowed her to be masculine and made her end up with a man that you consider to be less than what he should be.
Where are their dads? Dr. Umar told them the same thing, and they basically said, why I got to do that if I don't want to date his mama? This woman said, these black men don't love black women. They hate us, and we need to take that seriously. They are not playing. Stop being hopeful. Black men hate black women and children. All they want is to be equal to white men. I worked for a Boys and Girls Club. It was like pulling teeth to get black men in. But plenty of white/Asian men signed up. Tragic. You see that? Every time the white savior, he comes in, like I said, y'all got a weird way of asking for help. You're going to publicly degrade us, and then in the next breath, you're going to ask the same black men that you're talking about to be mentors.
Y'all remember about a month ago when that lady got on Twitter and was like, hey, black men, if you could volunteer your time to mentor young black men and young teenage black boys to be a positive role model and example in their community. And all the black men got under the post and called her basically a black bitch who needed to mind her business. Cause I remember.
You know what I remember? I remember when black women celebrated the death of Kevin Samuels, even though his sole purpose was to have uncomfortable conversations in order to bring black families back together. So single black mothers wouldn't have to ask black men to be mentors because the fathers would be in the home. That's what I remember. I also remember and still continue to see black women spreading this false narrative that black men unalive you all every 5 hours, even though black women committed their own personal genocide by deleting 20 million black babies since the 1973 U.S. Supreme Court ruling, which gave women the right to end pregnancies. Even though it takes two to get pregnant, you all are at fault for the fact that you have the sole responsibility for bringing a child into this world. So the decision ultimately falls on you and who you decide to sleep with. And let me be clear, before my words get twisted into some sort of justification for deleting black women, unaliving one black woman is too many. And that small minority of men who commit those crimes need to be put under the jail. But you are in no position to point the finger at black men, since you as a collective have deleted 400,000 black babies every year for the past 50 years. So the conversation of deletions within the black community starts and ends with black women. And I take no pride in saying that. And since we're on the topic of children, I remember when the CDC decided to tackle the negative stereotypes of black fathers by finding that black men are the most involved in their children's lives compared to other racial groups. Black women as a collective discredited that study by saying that the survey was biased based off of black men's opinions and not from the women who had their children. But when an intelligent content creator named Mediumman found an additional study conducted by the National Library of Medicine and released by PubMed, which is a peer-reviewed source, mind you, conducted a 2018 study of non-marital births, where mothers reported that black fathers shared responsibility more frequently and displayed more effective co-parenting than Hispanic and white fathers. The researchers also found that the parental relationship and the strong focus of the Monahan's 1965 report actually had less of an impact on black fathers' involvement with their kids than it does on the involvement of other fathers. The information was pushed to the wayside in favor of every black mother's anecdotal experience, which uncovered your inability to pick the right men to have your children with. And before you open your collective mouths and ask the question, well, who are black women having those children with? Let me provide the answer. On January 10th, 2023, the CDC, in conjunction with the National Health Statistics Reports, completed an ongoing study of the fertility of men and women aged 15 to 49 in the United States by way of the National Survey of Family Growth between the years 2015 and 2019. They confirmed that 46% of black men have ever fathered children, with 54% of black men who have never fathered children, as opposed to black women who mothered 61%. And just in case you're wondering, the National Center for Health Statistics has been conducting this study since 1973, which ironically is the same year that the Roe versus Wade ruling. Do you know what happened after I presented this information? My video was met with nothing but black women stating that the CDC is actually lying on the behalf of black men. Yes, the CDC. Furthermore, the same study also reported that there were 1 million more black women with children than black men, which means two things: that black women are having children by a small minority of men, and that you all are having children out of wedlock with non-black men at an astounding rate. What's crazy is that only 13% of black women are married to other races of men, and approximately 6% of white men. I guess that ends the "I'll just divest" conversation, right? And lastly, and within that same study, they also found that 66% of black fathers and only 41% of black mothers live with their parents at their first child's birth, whether married or cohabitating. Well, there goes that deadbeat dad narrative. And again, before you all respond by saying that highly educated and high-earning black women aren't making these mistakes when choosing men to have children with, here's what I want you to do. Go watch a Kendra G live stream where she falsely celebrates that all of the 100K and up black women call into her show.
The women that come on my show, they the big bosses of all bosses. I got all the rich girls that watch my show. Every girl that come on my show make 100K or more.
Shortly after that, she asked those same 100K earning black women, how many kids do you have? The women typically respond with a number upwards of 3. And since it's so common among these high earning women who appear on her show, Kendra G is forced to ask, how many baby fathers do you have? Which alludes to the fact that Kendra G has already made the assumption that there's more than one, and she's almost never wrong. In fact, and now that I think about it, I've only seen her guest host, Zach, get this question wrong.
Do you have any kids?
I do.
How many kids?
I've got 6 children.
6 kids. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of kids. How many baby daddies you got?
I've got 1.
Oh, all with the same man?
Yeah, my ex-husband.
Black women have called the majority of black men gay, even though there's far more lesbians in the black community. If you're curious as to where I got this information from, you can find it by Googling UCLA's Williams Institute report that analyzes several data sources to provide information on adults who self-identify as black and LGBT in the United States. Black women are still running with the narrative that you all earn more money than us, which is false, that you all own more businesses than black men, wrong again, and constantly stating that you all are the most educated and more educated than black men, even though the percentage difference is only 6%, 28% in favor of black women and 22% for black men over the age of 25 who earned a bachelor's degree or higher. But when black men do go to college, we graduate at a higher rate than black women. Also, it's very interesting that every female of every race has more degrees than their male counterparts. But every man, including black men, still make more than their female counterparts. Now, after level setting the conversation, I think I've made more of a case to ask this question. You all are asking the same men that you publicly degrade every day to be mentors to your bastardized children. Why? Based off the black woman's assessment, how do you all even justify black men being fit to be mentors to your children? If we're the worst of the worst, why ask? You see, that point right there is a strong contradiction in your logic. And like I said on the title of this live stream, you all have the weirdest way of asking for help. Talk shit about black men you actually need. Who told you that was a good idea? Wait, you're not asking aware black men with podcasts such as myself, right? We're dusty. So I'm assuming your beef is with the likes of Dr. Umar, the same men that call you Queen Mother Goddess in exchange for a hefty pandering payout from you all, right? Even though Dr. Umar is the same guy that had 2 children out of wedlock by 2 black women, but never cared enough to make either one of them a wife. Those types of facts tend to be overlooked by black women because Dr. Umar says that black men are to be blamed for your sins, which ultimately is the reason why you all are asking us to mentor your children. So if black men, aware black men, are dusty, then tell Dr. Umar, Tony Gaskins, Derek Jackson, Ace Metaphor, Boyce Watkins, tell them to gather their black men who support their work to mentor your children. But wait, those brothers have a hard time garnering the respect of black men since every one of them have publicly admitted to having a predominantly female audience. So the mentorship responsibility just may fall on those 5 men. Good luck with that. But all is not lost, black women. I am for the upliftment of the black community. And I would love to see more black male mentors. But before I enlist the help of black men on this side, we have some demands first. And here they are. First thing, where the F is your son's father? Any black man that decides to mentor your children needs to be able to speak with him first and ask him why he's unable to guide his own children. And yes, admitting that he's in prison and or never wanted a child will be an acceptable answer for research purposes, of course. Yeah. Second, to prevent the possibility of black women requesting mentors to act as babysitters in order for you to forego your parenting duties, you will use your own gas money to drop your child off at that mentor's house and pick them back up when it's time to go home. People tend to take things more serious when money is involved. So if you truly believe that your son needs a mentor, $20 worth of petrol won't hurt, right? Number 3, which coincides with number 2. No black male mentor will be required to put himself in danger by conducting said mentorship in crime-ridden areas. Remember, these black men may have families of their own, so their safety is paramount since they're doing you a service. Number 4, acknowledge the fact that the majority of black men are good by sharing that a black man is mentoring your children. You can do this by utilizing your social media platforms. You all wouldn't be asking good black men to be mentors if you thought that we are all deadbeat fathers. Well, shit, maybe you would. Who knows? But since the focus is on the children, I guess I'll let your inner thoughts slide about black men for now. Number 5, get familiar with the 100 Black Men of America Incorporation. Oh, y'all didn't know that black men created their own foundation in 1963 to meet and explore ways of improving conditions in the black community. And it is recognized as the nation's top African-American-led mentoring organization. These brothers have committed themselves to personify the types of black people that black children can look up to and emulate. And I'll post a link after I get done talking. Number 6, I want black women to hold black females accountable for not mentoring black girls. You all spend so much time focusing on what black men are doing when your black daughters are being overly influenced by hypersexuality and taught that they don't need a man. The narrative could actually change if black women actually cared about young black women instead of competing with them on the dating market. And you are withholding valuable lessons from the mistakes that you made in your past. And I'm saying this somewhat tongue-in-cheek because I know the black community probably doesn't trust black women to tell them what's right. Do black women as a collective truly believe that they don't need a man? If that's the mentality, then our young girls may be doomed. But now that you heard me ask this question, this is a perfect time to change, right? And lastly, mentoring is up to every black man's discretion. He decides to mentor or not. And any black man who decides or chooses to mentor will not be shamed. Remember, it is not a stranger's responsibility to raise your children. Mentoring is a privilege and not a right, so appreciate the men that do. Now, if all of this sounds like too much, or anyone feels a need to rebuttal or disagree with anything that I said, it ultimately lets Black men know that this conversation was never about mentorship. And it's really an attempt to shame Black men because you're still under the impression that we're abandoning our children. And if that's not the case, at least I can say that I tried. I'm going to end here, but before I go, let me be clear. I'm not saying that all Black women think like this, but for some odd reason, it's always Black women who think like this. Don't let that last statement go over your collective heads. Publicly change your disposition on Black men, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get the support from Black men that you're asking for. Is that possible? Yes. Is it probable? No. So I guess that makes me the hopeful fool for even asking, right? Maybe I should be ashamed, but I'm still going to ask.